Happy Monday out there, Team 42. It's your skipper here, Darius to present our macro minute for Monday, September 15th, 2025. Hope everyone had a great weekend. So, as always, we'll start with the executive summary from today's leadoff morning note. If you would like to review the analysis supporting these conclusions and to see if you need to make any changes in your portfolio to remain on the right side of market risk, or to get on the right side of market risk to the extent you haven't been following KISS or Dr. Mo, you need to be a client of 42 Macro. So, today's key macro question is, what's the latest regarding U.S. fiscal policy dynamics? Our answer? Last week's release of the August U.S. Treasury monthly budget statement affords us an opportunity to check one key driver of the global economy and global financial markets, U.S. fiscal policy. On an annualized calendar year-to-date basis, the federal budget deficit has narrowed $124 billion to $1.9 trillion, or 6% of U.S. GDP. The modest fiscal retrenchment is being driven primarily by improving revenue dynamics, which we view as transitory ahead of anniversarying the advent of the new tariff regime and the anticipated easing from the one big ugly bill in the first half of 2026. To borrow a phrase from our friend Lynn Alden, nothing stops this train from a federal expenditures perspective, which are up $395 billion and 6% on an annualized calendar year-to-date, year-over-year basis. The key drivers of growth are number one, Medicare up $159 billion and 17%. Number two, net interest up $131 billion and 14%. And number three, Social Security up $126 billion and 8%. Each of these categories is featured in our friend Luke Roman's true interest expense metric, which also includes national defense. True interest expense, which accounts for 63% of total federal expenditures, is up another $386 billion and 9% on an annualized calendar year-to-date, year-over-year basis. The trailing three-year CAGR for this metric, which is almost two-thirds of federal expenditures and 15% of U.S. GDP, is plus 12%, which is 3 times the trailing three-year CAGR of federal revenues at plus 4%. The U.S.'s internal demographic and political challenges and external geopolitical challenges all but ensures true interest expense will continue to grow exponentially for the foreseeable future because there's no political will to implement structural reforms. That loud clanking sound you hear is Congress kicking the proverbial can down the road. So why does all this matter? It matters because Uncle Sam is increasingly crowding out the U.S. and global economies. Specifically, the approximate next 12-month marketable Treasury debt supply of $11.6 trillion represents 39% of global savings and 215% of U.S. savings, nearly twice the long-run means of the respective time series. Because Uncle Sam sits atop the global capital structure, the U.S. government's historically elevated borrowing needs means there is hardly any capital left over to finance the investment and consumption activity of the consumers and businesses at the bottom of the K-shaped U.S. economy. All told, the Powell Fed's commitment to an arbitrary 2% inflation target has contributed to unnecessary hardship within the U.S. economy. Consistent with our investing during a forthturning regime framework, we believe the composition of the FOMC will evolve in a manner that seeks to address distributional distortions within the U.S. economy via structural reforms to how the Fed sets interest rates and implements balance sheet policy. These changes represent substantial right tail risk for risk assets and gold over a long-term time horizon, while also representing substantial left tail risk for the U.S. dollar and Treasury bonds over that duration. Investors that fail to adequately position for a structural regime change at the Fed will likely continue dramatically underperforming those that have. Pay attention to the force, which is structural regime change at the Fed, not the trees, which is Trump versus Lisa Cook or Steve Moran's testimony on Humphrey Hawkins rule. Stop paying attention to the news. Don't watch the news. Pay attention to the force, which is we are investing during a forward-turning regime, and the end result is the fiscal authority is going to dominate the monetary authority and force financial repression and monetary debasement in increasing quantities, because otherwise we're going to wind up with these distributional problems. Again, don't forget, this is a political cycle. There are human beings that will go to the ballot box to choose these outcomes. So front run that and continue making money, or start making money if you haven't been participating in KISS or Dr. Mo. So transitioning to our 42 Macro dashboard here, as always, we wrap up with a question from our community. This one's really not a question, but it's a really a comment that I think was really important to share. So let me just read it. Love KISS and highly recommend the Macro Strategist Pro tier. It says, Darius, I just want to say thank you again. As others have said, I found you via Adam Taggart, and long been a fan of his going back to the peak prosperity wealthy on days. Adam Taggart, our friend who runs Thoughtful Money. How you doing, Adam? I had been burned in the past by the market and had been too conservative and afraid to jump in and missed out on several bull markets over the years. I just wanted to be transparent and share that since joining 42 Macro last year, it has been amazing. I was initially using Wealthfront, which was fine for passive investing, but missed out on some KISS trades due to their wash rules, timing, etc. I have since moved all investments to Fidelity, so I was able to quickly implement KISS pivots. I also upgraded several months ago to the Macro Strategist Pro tier. Although I'm just a retail investor, a few of the daily trade recommendations have more than paid for the upgrade and helped me increase my overall returns. The proof is in the pudding for anyone who has not jumped into KISS with both feet. I'm loving this 1 year return in Fidelity and appreciate missing out on the pain around Liberation Day and buying the dip after that. Sorry, I'm reading terribly. Let me reread that. The proof is in the pudding for anyone who has not jumped into KISS with both feet. I'm loving this 1 year return in Fidelity and appreciate missing out on the pain around Liberation Day and buying the dip after that. And this person has an image here, I guess, with a screenshot of their 1 year total return in their Fidelity account, which is plus 38%. Wrap it up. Keep up the great work, and I sleep so much better at night knowing KISS and Dr. Mo would tell me when I need to pivot. Appreciate you. So obviously, super kind compliment. Thank you so much to the member here who's flagging the benefit that KISS is having, both in terms of helping them maximize upside capture to a degree that they've never experienced before, but also helping them sleeping so much better at night, knowing that they don't have to live in fear of the next big left tail event in financial markets. Because again, KISS and Dr. Mo are being guided by institutional grade risk management overlays, the kind of overlays that you see at many of the top funds on global Wall Street, of which many of them are our clients. Again, we are advising on a cumulative $25+ trillion in their AUM in terms of our client base. And so, we're super proud of that, super proud of the outcomes that KISS and Dr. Mo continue to deliver to the thousands of really thoughtful investors around the world that have decided to partner with 42 Macro and are experiencing much better investment results with much less stress as a result. So we'll wrap it up there. Darius still here presenting our Macro Minute for Monday, September 15th, 2025. Everyone have a wonderful day out there. Great day. Go Bucks. One of my two best friends is the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So obviously become a huge Bucks fan in recent years, and just excited to watch Coach Grizz kick some butt this afternoon. So or this evening. So best of luck out there. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. Cheers.